Hello everyone. In this video I want to show you a bunch of neat commands, I would say, for dealing with scalars and vectors and matrices. And these are not described in my previous videos in MATLAB. So be ready for some new commands that are interesting. So one of them is for prime numbers. So, for example, if somebody says, what are the prime numbers that are less than 10 or something like that, you can use the command primes. And let's say if I say primes of 10, then it will give me all of the prime numbers that are less than 10. Okay. Now, if I say 11, it will also include 11. So it's the number of all of the prime numbers that are less than or equal n, basically. That's what this command primes does. The other thing is sometimes they give you a number and they say they want to know you can write this number as a product of which prime numbers and with which power. So here, let's say I give you the number 100 and say, how can you write number 100? And you say this is like 4 times 25. So 2 times 2 and 2 times 2 2's and 2 5's multiplied together. And to know that, you can use the command factor. And if you use the command factor, you see here 2 2's and 2 5's. Or let's say if it's, for example, 36, it's 2 2's and 2 3's, huh? You see? Okay, the other command we have is perms. So here, let's say I basically have a vector A, and it is made of some numbers, let's say 2, 6, 5, and 7, something like that. And you want to know how many different ways you can basically shuffle these numbers and get a vector that has all the 4 numbers in it, but the position of these numbers are different. So you want to look at permutations, right? So then you say perms of A. Right? Give me all the permutations of A, and you see here that it says, yeah, I put the 7 first for all of these, let's say, first 6 permutations, and then I go to the second number for the first 2, 5, for the next 2, 6, for the next 2, 2, and then keep changing. So I get 6 situations here, and then you can see here that you have 6 for 5, and then you have 6 for 6 being the first one, and 6 for that. So if you want to know total of that, how many, right, then you need to get basically the number of rows here. So if you want to know the total number of permutations, then this variable answer, you just need to get size of this answer and 1, and that gives you the number of permutations. But if you want to know the permutations themselves, these are all of those. Another command that is related to permutation is the command randperm. And this is going to generate a bunch of integer numbers for you between 1 to n. If you just pass it a single number n, like 9, look, it goes ahead and creates a permutated version of the numbers between 1 to 9 in a random manner. So if you have numbers 1 to 9 and then shuffle it randomly, this is the result, okay? And if you do it again, the result is going to be different, right? And this thing you can also create using the command randi. So the command randi, if you pass to it 9, right, this guy is going to generate a random integer, right, between 1 to this number, I max, right, but it just gives you one number. So if you want 9 of them, then you need to say 9, right? And now look, yeah, you might say, well, what happened here? When you give the size, you have to make sure you give rows and columns. Otherwise, it consider it like a matrix 9 by 9. So if you want 1 by 9, you have to say 1 by 9, okay? And it does that, but there is no guarantee that you see all of the numbers from 1 to 9 here. Some numbers might be repeated several times, because basically it is like running this random command 9 times, okay? But here, this random perm, you see all of the numbers one by one from 1 to 9 just shuffled, okay? So that's the difference between this one and this guy over here. Okay, so that was randperm and the perms command. Let's move on to the next interesting commands. Okay, then I'm sure many of you have already used them, but just wanted to make sure. When you have an angle in degree, right, and you want to convert it into radians, well, either you can multiply that angle, right, by pi and divide it by 180. That's one way to do it. Or MATLAB has this same built-in function which basically converts the degrees to radians for you, and you see that gives you the same answer. Or backwards, if you have another angle that is basically in radians, like for example pi over 2, then if you want to convert it into degrees, you can multiply that angle by basically 180 and divide it by pi. Or you can use the command what? You can use the command radian to degree, and that will perform the same task for you. So just wanted to make sure that you know these commands exist. Regarding conversions, there are commands that you can use also, let's say, to go from one coordinate to another. So for example, you want to go from a Cartesian coordinate to cylindrical, polar, which is 2D version of that, or spherical, or vice versa, from those coordinates to Cartesian. Then you can either use the conversion formulas that you learn in math classes, or you can use built-in MATLAB functions. So for example, let's say you have point x1, y2, and z of 3, and you want to convert it to cylindrical coordinates. So you use the command cart to pole, and although polar is 2D, but if you pass it as z, it will go to cylindrical. And the outputs are going to be theta and r and z, okay? So you see here that radius is basically square root of x squared plus y squared. Theta here is arctangent of basically y over x, and it is in radians, and then z is the same as this z, right? Or you can use the other command if you want to go to the spherical coordinates. You can use cart to basically sphere, okay? And the order is just going to be azimuth and elevation and then the radius, okay? And the radius is clearly the distance from origin to the point 1, 2, 3, and azimuth and elevation, you know what they are in spherical coordinates. So just wanted to add these commands because they are quite a bit useful. And the last set of commands I want to talk about conversions. So we talked about radians to degrees and vice versa, and degrees to radians, the coordinate frames conversions. The other one are bases of numbers. So for example, if you want to convert a decimal to a binary, binary to decimal, binary to hexadecimal, anything like that, how would you go from one base to the other base? So if you want to convert a decimal to a specific base, use the command dec or dec to base. So decimal to base, and let's say what number you want to have. So let's say my number n is equal to, for example, 10, and you want to know what is this n to the base of 2. Okay, so if I convert 10 to a binary, you see the number will be 1010, and that is correct because this is basically times 1, this is times 2, this is times 4, this is times 8, so it's going to be 8 plus 2, which is 10, right? Or for example, let's use a simpler number, 3, you know, for 3 it should be just 1 and 1, and you see these, okay? So you see, I could convert my decimal to base of 2, and there should be a command called decimal to binary, like this, this to bin, and that is just for binary. But this command is more powerful because you can take it to any base you want, not just 2. For example, if I want to convert n, which is 10, to the base of 4 instead of base of 2, I can still use this command. And you see here, this 2 is multiplied by 4 to the 0, which is 1, and this 2 is multiplied by 4 to the 1, which is 4. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 2 times 1 is 10. Okay, so this is to go from decimal to any base. Okay, although this base, then this number has limitations, but so it's not like really all the numbers, but this is a powerful command. And then there is backward command here, so we can go from a base to the decimal, right? So for example here, let's say I define this number and say n equals, for example, ff, right, a hexadecimal, and now I want to convert that number to decimal, and I say n, and the base is 16, right? And it says, hey, the number is what? 255. Okay, so these are some base commands for permutation, prime numbers, conversions, and so on. And I'm going to stop the video right now. And in my second video, I'm going to show you commands that are for vectors, some neat commands for vectors. So what we did in this video were these commands. All of these. Okay, so I just put them there for you, and thank you so much for your attention. I will see you in the next video.